So hi there, it's Ian and welcome along to another episode and podcast and video blog, wherever you're watching this, of Braver Leadership. And today we're looking at the visibility gap. So you've done the job, you've stayed humble, you've delivered, and yet around you promotions are going to other people. Again. When you open LinkedIn, you can see your college friends, they're all progressing, they're all getting promotions. The people you studied with, the people you started with, are all moving ahead. And for you, it feels like time is just ticking by with not much to show for it. Now, that's not because you're not good enough. It's not because they're much better either. It's because of visibility, not just your ability. Because visibility is what moves careers forward right now. And the thing is, if they can't see you as a leader, they won't choose you to be one either. So let's get that sorted. Many of us grow up with deeply held beliefs around service, humility, and work ethic. And this becomes a kind of invisible barrier that we put up for ourselves. Now, you may not be able to trace some of those back to one source. I can definitely relate to some of them in my life around service and putting other people in front of you and always looking out for the underdog. You may not be able to trace them back to one particular source, but they do tend to shape how you show up. And maybe that is quiet, solid, responsible. The question is it enough? And the thing with these values is they are really important. These values become part of who you are. They're what make you unique, so we don't want you to look like a robot. But the problem is sometimes these values morph into unspoken rules. So they become things like, don't ask for attention, just deliver. Someone is going to notice you. Stay quiet and the good things come to the quiet man. Except they don't. So at school and early in your career, these kind of rules probably worked because that's the way those institutions tend to develop people and reward them as well, for aligning to a particular type of behaviour. But in today's workplace, it just leaves brilliant people invisible, standing in the shadows, being overlooked for the very work that they're quietly holding together themselves. Now, leaders are time poor, and lots of decisions happen behind closed doors, and promotions rely on trust and a sense of future fit. Are you ready in the today? Are you also ready for tomorrow? It's not just about your output. And visibility isn't about ego. It's about making your leadership easier to see. Because if they can't see it, they can't bet on it. So let's bring this to life and let me introduce you to somebody that I coached. And we're going to call him Alex. So Alex was solid, dependable, smart, likeable, the kind of person that everybody leaned on. And to a degree, that was both an asset but also a problem for Alex because everybody leaned on Alex. And when the next promotion came around, Alex assumed that because everybody leaned on him, that it was going to be his turn. But of course it wasn't. Otherwise there'd be no story, right? But it wasn't. Two other people moved up, not just one, two other people moved up above Alex, louder, maybe more polished, no more capable. And Alex sat there wondering, why them? I've delivered more. What am I missing here? And here's what Alex was missing. Strategic visibility. Not noise, not ego, but the ability to help people see his leadership without spelling it out. The others, they weren't better, but they were easier to picture being in a leadership role. And LinkedIn, though I love it, has a lot to say for itself here. So LinkedIn can be a mirror, a motivator, and a demotivator all at once. You see peers all the time on LinkedIn who are showing off the best version of themselves, their promotion, who was writing a story about they got turned down for a job or nearly missed out on a job or whatever. They are there, but not so many people write in that way. But when people are writing the best version of themselves, it's normal and natural that it starts to rub off on you. It makes you feel like you're falling behind relative to their efforts. And then what we tend to do as well when we're a rising leader is attach success markers to age boundaries. So where are these people by the time they're 23 or 25 or 27 or 30? As if it matters. Hopefully you'll go on to live a really long life. Actually, 2 years in a life probably won't make a huge difference. But LinkedIn has that habit of making people feel that they've failed just because somebody hit a milestone by a certain age and your time is yet to come. And it can trigger anxiety and all kinds of difficulties in then applying yourself back to the role of being a leader. So let's talk about how you show up without pretending to be somebody that you're not. Now, even the die-hard introverts amongst you can do this, and you don't have to change who you are in order to do it. So the first thing that I want here for you to focus on is speaking strategically in meetings. Now, you've probably been raised by a brilliant line manager or mentor who's trained you to go into meetings armed with updates and task lists to know all of your stuff down to the nth degree, and hey, probably somebody else's as well. So if you're there with your boss, you'll be the person when your boss stumbles that you'll thumb through the papers and then hand out the exact piece of evidence that they need, like a faithful Labrador. They send you off to go and get something and back you come, and it feels brilliant to sit there and have a lovely tap on the head like a good Labrador and a good dog, and then when the meeting starts for real, well, you're around the table, but actually you're kind of under it because people don't see you as being the leader. Leaders don't notice the task dogs, they remember strategic voices. So here's the shift. Prepare one contribution, not to show off, but to show foresight. It could be a smart question, it could be a tie-in to bigger goals, it could be a low-risk solution to a shared problem. Even saying something as simple as, I wonder how this fits with our Q3 targets, puts you on a different radar, a different lens. And if you're introvert, then it doesn't mean that you have to be the loudest in the room, it just means being deliberate about these interventions, having that one sentence ready so that when the time is right, you can speak with purpose. So visibility always wins. And here are 3 reasons how that actually works. Now I want you to imagine a snowball at the top of the hill. I think I've only seen this played out in cartoons, by the way, not where I am in the southwest of England. We don't really have that much snow. But imagine we take a snowball and we kind of gather it together and we take it at the top of the hill and we roll it down. And the idea, so I'm told, is that the snowball goes down the hill and it gathers more momentum as it picks up more snow and it gathers more weight. And that's how it manages to accelerate its way down the hill. So a bit like that. You've got 3 elements at play: internal networks, leadership perception, and change trajectory. So let me explain. As you start to work and put yourself out there to work with different people across your organisation, maybe in silos, departments, whatever it is that you call it, so you start to see more of the organisation and how all the parts hang together. That's a critical part of the leadership equation, because collaborating and being able to collaborate and bring together resources, especially those that are not under your complete control, is a key function of leadership as opposed to supervising. So as you start working with other people, so you start to become aware of the wider aspects of your organisation, what they do, and where some of the challenges are, but also where some of the connection points happen to lie. And as you work on those things and different projects with people, what you're also then doing is allowing other people to be able to see your leadership capability, to see your leadership style, and with that become an advocate for you. Now, advocates are super important because advocates are the people who, when your back is turned, when you're asleep, when you're off on holiday and a big project is coming along or an opportunity, these are the people who say, I've worked with Alex before. Great guy, great girl. Alex is the one you definitely want on this. And when you work across organisations and you take up some of these little pieces of responsibility in these projects, bit by bit you have more people saying the same thing, and when more people are saying the same thing about you, it's more likely that leaders will begin to believe that is actually true. And another amazing thing happens, which is it changes your approach as well. All research shows that when we start to first believe and feel success, we become a little bit more courageous, a little bit bolder, a little bit braver, and we put ourselves out there to try out new things. And as we try out new things, so what are we doing? We're actually growing in the process. We are learning, we are growing, we're improving our capability, and we're getting even more advocates and disciples for us along the way. It is a win-win-win, and it's all founded on visibility. And this is the ripple effect. Initial recognition gets you noticed by one stakeholder, word spreads, people start to advocate about your contribution, you become the top of mind candidate, so that when there is that hiring that's going on, or an opportunity to get involved in bigger things, momentum builds and you are the first person in mind. So let's talk about, beyond speaking strategically in meetings, how you can go about doing this. And the second tactic I want to show you is about framing your work like a leader. Now, your mentor would have probably taught you to focus on things like status reports, task updates, risk registers, critical paths, Kanban boards, you name it, we've seen it all, and that's fine. But it's not leadership. If you ever sneak a peek into a leadership meeting, into a board meeting, it won't be the case that people are getting out their Kanban boards and comparing them with each other. That's why they have people to do that. So real leadership sounds instead like things like this. This work enabled this decision. We've reduced risk in this area. It ties to this strategic priority. Now you may be thinking at the moment, well, I don't know enough about the strategy to be able to ask those questions like pinpoint accuracy. But the pinpoint accuracy isn't really what you need. Even if you're wrong, even if you miss, you're going to get feedback. You're going to get told what was right about that, but also where you're off. And that's exactly how real strategic thinking gets built. The thing is, around the table, if you think like a Charlie Brown cartoon, the ones with like the little kind of like curly bubbles above your head, nobody can actually really see what you're thinking. So for as long as you're taking to formulate the perfect question to nail this point that nobody else can come up with a cleverer question than you, time and moments have moved on, and people never knew that you were thinking hard. All they saw was silence. And they can't tell the difference between silence and thinking. And so some of them may come to the conclusion of, why are you even there? Our third element is about building micro moments of visibility. Now, if I asked you and offered you the opportunity to do a TED Talk tomorrow morning, probably strike panic in your heart as it would do for me. I'm not ready for it. But you don't need a TED Talk, but you do need micro moments of visibility. And that sometimes means having things like a sharp update email, making it really crisp, taking the detail out, focusing on what does this leader need to know. Or maybe it's a visible comment in a cross-team meeting that's adding to the body of knowledge, show how you're working to the collective. Or a shout-out that shows leadership in collaboration with others. These are small, consistent signals that all do stack up, and people begin to say, she always seems to get where we're going. Now let's be honest, visibility doesn't just feel awkward. For a lot of us it kind of feels wrong. You're doing everything right, you're delivering, you're the person people count on, and yet it feels like you're invisible in the moments that matter. And that's so frustrating. So frustrating, demoralising even, because deep down you're wondering, if I'm already this stretched, if I'm already doing more than my job title demands, and I'm already working these hours, what more do I need to prove? How inadequate am I? And if you feel that way or catch yourself feeling that way, because I most certainly have, you're not alone. Now, when we hear the word politics, many of us start to recoil in horror. Politics feels shallow, inauthentic, like there's a game being played that we never signed up for. But the thing is, politics are part of the way that organisations work. Politics is a reflection of different power structures in organisations. Nobody's going to change that. And so refusing to engage with the politics is refusing to engage with the organisation. There is no future in leadership in that way. So let me offer you a reframe. Most office politics is actually really simple. It's just one simple question. It is just people asking, albeit silently, who do I trust? Who do I trust? Do I trust you to handle pressure? Do I trust you to hold influence well? Do I trust you to carry the weight of bigger responsibility? The thing is, if you avoid visibility entirely, you're not escaping the game at all, far from it. All you're doing is giving up your seat at the table. And here's something that no one's really telling you right now. Part of your job is also to help senior stakeholders trust themselves to back you, to believe that sponsoring you won't backfire, to believe that sponsoring you will actually add to their own success, that you will carry it well. So if you thought of politics and saying, I don't really want to look self-promoting, politics just isn't my thing, my work should speak for itself, then you're both right in an ideal sense, but wrong realistically, because that's the old script talking. Strategic visibility isn't manipulation. It is leadership. It's helping people see what's already true, and it's helping the right people to believe in you clearly, consistently, and on purpose. That's not ego. That is service. Now, visibility always feels awkward when you've been taught that politics is gross. And yes, sometimes politics is played out really badly, but often it is just people asking themselves, who do I trust? Office politics, unspoken trust games. And if you avoid it entirely, you remove yourself from the equation. And remember, part of your big job is to help senior stakeholders and senior leaders trust themselves to sponsor you. So that's got to be a game worth learning, right? So strategic visibility is not manipulation. It's about helping the right people to believe in you, and that, ultimately, is service. Now, in the braver leadership model, V stands for visible actions. You don't get promoted by accident. You build a leadership brand that makes you the obvious choice. What does that look like? Speaking with clarity, sharing impact, not just activity, showing up with intention. You're not trying to be the loud person, but you are showing that you have outgrown your current space. Feet are too big for these shoes. And I remember people in my career history telling me exactly that. Because that's when people start thinking, she's already halfway there. She's ready. Now, if you're ready to stop waiting for someone to notice you and you want the tools to be able to lead with purpose, then I'm inviting you to join the 30-day Rising Leader Accelerator. The link is in that QR code on screen now. And inside this program, I'll guide you through the exact shifts I've helped dozens of ambitious professionals make, the kind of people who, like you, were quietly stuck just like you and are now confidently leading, being trusted with more, and finally getting chosen. What we do over 30 days is break that down into tiny steps, taking no more than 10 minutes a day. Sometimes it'll be a piece of insight, sometimes an activity to try out for the day, all done in 10 minutes each day over 30 days. And it will help you to build the trust, visibility, and strategic presence that gets you promoted and keeps you growing. The thing is, you're already doing the work. What we need to do now is make sure that the right people see it. So, as we part today, lead bravely, rise quickly, and if you like this video, well, I'd be thrilled and honoured if you'd subscribe, share it with someone who's ready to lead, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye for now.